Hi everyone, welcome back to FPL Moneyball, where we use data analysis to find the best players for your fantasy football teams. Today we'll be doing a UEFA Fantasy Football Matchday 3 team selection video, where we'll be recommending the best players to have in your UEFA Fantasy Football teams this game week. So let's delve right into the team selection. So now you can see from my screen here that this is my team selection for Matchday 3, and I do have quite a few overlapping players from the same teams. Firstly, two players from Bayern, Harry Kane and Olise. Bayern have been very strong this season and have been able to score a lot of goals both in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. So I'm betting big on Bayern to have a big victory over Club Brugge at home this game week. Also have two Manchester City players selected, Haaland and Reinders. And although Manchester City have kind of struggled in the Champions League, their domestic form has been very impressive, with Haaland being the top scorer in the Premier League by a far mile. And so I do back him to continue his current run of excellent form, and even captaining him as he does play on the first day this game week, with the potential to swap my captain later on. I also do have three Real Madrid players this game week: Mbappé, Güler, as well as Franco on the bench, and they face a opposing team of Juventus, who have conceded quite a few goals already this season, both in the Champions League as well as in the Serie A. So I think that given Real Madrid's domestic and Champions League form, they do have a lot of potential scoring goals against a leaky Juventus defense this season. So defense, I did mix it up a bit with players from different teams. I do have Eric Garcia from Barcelona, Hakimi and Chevalier from PSG, and Grimaldo from Leverkusen, who was on the opposing side of that match, as well as Calafiori against Atletico Madrid, although I don't think that he will start this game week and he will be rotated in favor of Ben White. On the bench, I also do have Vicario, who faces Monaco away, Virgil van Dijk from a Liverpool team who has struggled recently, as well as Yildiz, who faces a very strong Real Madrid team. So now let's take a look at why I selected some of these options, and starting with the forwards, I think they pretty much select themselves, with the top three players, goal scorers in the Champions League being Mbappé, Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. So these players have not only done well in their own domestic leagues, but have actually continued their excellent run of form into the Premier League into the Champions League this season. So although they do have a very hefty price tag, I think it is worth to pay big money for these players, as they will score you a lot of points from the forward positions. They have a very high expected goals as well as goal involvement per 90 in the Champions League. So looking at the expected goals, Mbappe currently tops the table with 2.26 expected goals, and Harry Kane is also further down the list at number 7 with 1.05 expected goals. Haaland is not on this list. He hasn't had as much impact as he had in the Premier League this season in the Champions League, but he has been very clinical with his finishing so far, and already converted and scored 3 goals for Manchester City in the Champions League in 2 game weeks. So also a very impressive step from him, and I do back him to continue his run of form in the Champions League. Looking at the expected assists, I don't have anyone from this list actually, the top being Phil Foden from City with 0.83 expected assists, and a few other players from the Premier League teams such as Odegaard, Salah and Wirtz, who also have high expected assists but haven't really scored many points in the Champions League fantasy football this season. Also do have some Bayern assets in this list: Nicholas Jackson and Rafael Guerreiro. And for me, Guerreiro does stand out more, as I do think that Bayern will keep a clean sheet this game week. And I feel that Jackson is, given the amount of forward options that we already have, I don't think that Jackson is an attractive forward option for me at the moment. So putting it all together, looking at the expected goals plus expected assists per 90, Mbappé still tops this list with 2.59, followed by Jackson and Martinelli and Ekatike, um, with Harry Kane also further down that list. So I do back my forwards to continue converting those scoring chances this game week. So next, let's take a look at the defensive stats and the teams that have kept the most clean sheets. Arsenal with 2 clean sheets, as well as Inter with also 2 clean sheets this Champions League season already, followed by some other teams such as PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City, all have very solid defenses as well. So taking a look at the expected goals from the bottom to the top, Arsenal have been the best, not just in the Champions League, but also in the Premier League this season. Their defense being a very solid option, very bedrock defense, being able to keep a lot of clean sheet and not conceding many chances. And they're also closely followed behind by many strong teams such as Bayern, Real Madrid, and Inter, who all have very impressive defensive statistics also this season in the Champions League. So taking a look at the expected goals scored, on the other hand, Real Madrid, Bayern, and Inter are also on the top of this list with 7.3, 6.6, and 5.2 expected goals respectively. So I do think that you should target the players, both defenders and the forwards and midfielders actually from these teams, and they have shown the most impressive form in the Champions League this season. So now let's take a look at some of the key matches this game week, and the first one will be Real Madrid against Juventus, which takes place on October 23rd at 3 a.m. And the top players to watch here are Mbappé, with already 5 goals in the Champions League, and very high expected goals of 4.29. So on the other hand, Juventus top scorer is Vlahovic, who's actually not projected to start in this projected lineup, with David replacing him in the forward position. So also a key injury to the Real Madrid defense was Huijsen, who was injured this game week, and so he's being replaced by Asensio. And I initially had Haaland in my team, but I then replaced him since he was injured with Eric Garcia from Barcelona. So we'll see how that affects the Real Madrid defense this game week. Also, Bellingham is also back from injury, and so he is expected to shore up the Real Madrid midfield as the anchor in a double pivot position with Tchouaméni, giving Gula more room to roam forward from attacking midfielder, and Franco also on the right wing could look to exploit the right wing of Juventus to get forward and get some assists and goal scoring opportunities as well. And I do back my main man Mbappé to be my second choice captain option if Haaland doesn't score me as many points as I would like in the first fixture on 22nd of October. So the next key match to watch will be Bayern versus Club Brugge. I do expect Bayern to blow out Club Brugge with a few goals, maybe like a 3-0 victory against Club Brugge, and also to keep a clean sheet against a weaker side. So I think the key player to look out for is Harry Kane in that number 10 position. See how he adapts to this new role, and he was very impressive in that position last game week. So he does have already 4 goals in this Champions League this season and 1.78 expected goals. So I think that he is the talisman for Bayern Munich and the key player who will score the goals for the Bayern Munich team. Also, Olise on the right wing would look very dangerous going forward, facing a very weak Club Brugge defense, who have not been on the best of form this season. So the next match will be Villarreal versus Manchester City, where I do have both Haaland and Reinders from Manchester City. I do think that this is a tough matchup for City going away to Villarreal against a pretty solid Villarreal defense and a very organized team. But I do think that City have the quality to break them down with players like Doku, Haaland, and Silva, very creative and very lethal going forward. I do think that they have the star quality to break down this Villarreal defense. So the players to watch here will be Haaland with 3 goals this this Champions League season, and 1.46 expected goals already. So the last match, the key match to watch will be Bayer Leverkusen versus PSG, and Leverkusen have struggled actually, or not really struggled, but actually been pretty similar form with PSG this season. PSG have suffered a few injuries in their forward line, so we'll see how they manage to rotate their squad against a weaker Bayer Leverkusen team, and they have sort of a very good squad depth actually. So they have many players who can score goals, with key players in their fullback positions, Hakimi and Mendes, with high expected goals and assists this season. So I do think that they have potential to return from fullback and get forward and score some goals in addition to the clean sheet potential that they have. So just to round up, once again, here's my team selection for this game week 3, taking a look at which fixtures happen first. It will be Manchester City, PSG, Barcelona, and Leverkusen, as well as Arsenal, who will be playing this game week. And if they don't score any points or they blank early on the game week, I can always substitute them for other players in my team who will play later on this game week. So I actually made 2 substitutions. One was replacing a Monaco midfielder with Franco, who is only 4.5 million, and he did actually get an assist, I believe, last game week, or he earned a penalty for 2 points last game week. So, and he did have decent minutes against Kairat with 70 minutes played in total. So, hoping he can build on that form and the confidence to return against Juventus as well. And the second player that I brought in was Eric Garcia from Barcelona, who actually haven't kept any clean sheets in 5 matches this season, although they do face a weaker Olympiacos team at home. And for me, there's a very high potential for Barcelona to keep the clean sheet here against a weaker opponent. So that's it for this week Champions League Matchday 3 team selection video. Stay tuned for more updates where I will do a game week 3 review once all the matches have been played. So make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video. See you next time.